We're talking about the business of sports. We'll be catching up with Sean Kadovelis in Nanyuki to tell us the updates for the rally. But before then, I'm joined by a CEO. And it's different right here because right now I'm going on air, but they're also going on air live because sports has gone digital. The world has gone digital.
Yes.
Amy Wanda,
yes,
CEO, Africa Sports Network. Karibu sana to Top Sport.
Thank you very much.
First of all, CEO at your very tender age. Tell me about that.
Why not? I mean, I think it's what we stand for, breaking boundaries, challenging the status quo, doing what people don't think we can do. So that's why.
When you started off, what did people think you wouldn't be able to do?
Everything. I mean, it was sports. A young person, shouldn't you be in school? So the challenges have been vast from the beginning until now, but it's about proving people wrong. It's about showing that young people are capable, and I think at this point people believe in us, people understand us, and people have a lot more faith in us just from showing that we are capable. Okay,
let's go all the way back.
Yeah.
School. Where did you go to school?
I was at the African Leadership Academy. I graduated in 2017. Yes.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And Africa Sports Network, what's that about? What was the idea behind it? What is it meant to do for sports in Africa?
So the African Sports Network, it's a youth organization. As you can see, the people who run it are the youth.
Yes, that's why we are going live digitally.
Yes, exactly. So we aim to increase engagement and awareness in the sports industry and prove that sport is a viable career path. So about how it started, it's about the challenge of trying to tell your parents that you want to pursue a career path in sport, right? It's about being taken seriously in the sports industry. So at the academy that I attended, this is actually where the idea was coming into life, and a lot of my peers around me were dealing with problems such as education, healthcare, and it just wasn't seen that sport was serious. And that right there was what society is. I mean, you say you're pursuing something in sport and it's like, oh, what's about law, engineering, you know, the more serious career paths. So we just stand to prove people wrong and show that there is business in the sports industry, and this is something that we can achieve as young people, as older people. It's a career path that can be pursued. So we're really trying to break the stereotype about sport not being a viable career path.
So what is Africa Sports Network doing to break the barriers, to change the stereotype?
Well, education is our main pillar. I'm working with the youth as well. My team, I could have very well looked for a team of much older people, but I think my own steps to empower the youth to actually grow starts with recruiting a young team, right? So I'm working with young people who are passionate about sport, but just are not sure about how to take that first step. So working in this enterprise is giving the exposure, experience for them to take that step forward. But what we mainly do through education is we're trying to educate people about the business of sport, because most of the times the question is, where do you go for this information? Where do you learn? Where do you see possibilities? You know, it's from forums, workshops, and just platforms like that where you're inspired to take a new step, where you can network, where you can meet people, and all this just brings the sports industry together. So we had a sports leadership workshop a week ago, and that was just our first step here actually towards bringing the industry together, but also educating people. You know, there are people very passionate about sports law. We had a sports lawyer there to show them the opportunities in industry. There was sports marketing. We talked about sports entrepreneurship and just leadership in sport generally. So this is something we're really trying to grow, and I understand that I don't have all the knowledge at my very tender age, right? So it's about enrolling the other people in the industry. So we work with people who are established in the Kenyan sports industry to show young people such as myself, my team, and other people passionate about sport, all the opportunities that are actually in our industry.
You talked about young team, average age. Because my mother taught me that. I can't ask how old you are, so average age. Average
age would be 19.
19?
Yes, 19 is average age.
Okay.
Yes.
How big a team is it?
We're a team of 5, and I think between university, I think the age group is pretty much the youngest ones just finished high school in June, so it's high school university age.
So let's start with very young, and sports in Kenya is done by young people but managed by very old people. So how do you break those barriers? Like when you walk into an office and say, my name is Amy, I run this organization, I'd like to help you move your sport to the next level professionally. What are the barriers you're getting?
I mean, it's challenging, right? What you have to bring to the table, who do you know, all those things are things that come into play. And we're a very young, humble team. We don't know anyone in this industry. We really walk in innocently and try to get these opportunities. But I think the one thing that I always say is that we always just have to try. We never know what we're going to get out of it, whether we're listened to or not. But I feel like the hardest thing actually is to get that opportunity to be listened to. Because as a team, we're confident that if you hear what we have to say, if you hear our ideas, our point of view, our thinking, I do not think we will be turned down, because we're young, we're capable, we're creative, and we have so many ideas to revolutionize the industry. So being listened to in the first place is a challenge. But all the times where we have been listened to, I think we've actually we've proved to those people that this is actually a very capable team. They've been quite impressed, and I think they like the factor that we're in a digital age. We know how to use what we have, because even just our age group, we don't have all the resources capable, but we're a team that uses what we have, and we just go from scratch rather than seeing all the problems with what we don't have.
Okay, let me give you an example. Football in this country.
Yes.
We've different challenges. Today we have a match. Kenya is playing Ghana. And my colleague Brano Chwal is at Kasarani. One of the things they're talking about is there's very the fund turnout is not a lot.
Yes.
If FKF engaged your organization, what should you have done for them?
I think
this is
football,
your pitch, elevator pitch right
Oh,
here.
fantastic. On the spot, right? Football, we mainly work with minority sports, but it's the same concept though. It's the same concept of trying to uplift it and just make it more exciting. So definitely there's a lot of ways we would try and reach out to the youth. I think with us being young people, we understand what we need, what we want to see. So trying to engage.
What do the youth want?
I can't speak for everyone, but it's entertainment. It's about making sport entertaining. It's about why should I attend it, you know, and showing people that this is something worth seeing live. But it's also about changing the culture, which is why I'm going to go back to education. It's about our mindset about the sports industry. We would very gladly go somewhere to watch a European match, but we have a match right here, Kenya versus Ghana, and how many people are going to go? But it's a mindset, it's how we perceive African sport, and that's what we're trying to change. So when we shape the conversations around sport, when we talk about it more, when we prove that our own athletes are celebrities, then that's when people will actually want to go to a stadium because they want to see one of the Kenyan players watching. But it's about building that celebrity culture. It's about talking about sport more in our society, growing it, and just uplifting it. So it still comes back. I think our main pillars are with education, and our end goal is changing the mindset. It's about your mindset. If our society changes the way we perceive sport, then the stadium will be full, right? And a great initiative that's doing that is Just a Study, right? They're taking the steps towards that, trying to make sport more exciting. And I think just the way something like that has come out, if we continue along those lines, we'll definitely be in a good place. You
talked about a workshop last week.
Yes.
First of all, just tell me about it, then I will give you the devil's advocate to it, but first tell me about it.
So the workshop was, it was actually a prototype of what we want to do in a larger scale for different counties, but what it was a platform where we brought together different sports industry professionals. So as I said, we had sports marketing, sports law, sports entrepreneurship, and generally sports leadership, and generally someone who gave a talk about his experience in the sports industry. And what it was to show people endless opportunities in the industry, you know. It's to show that this is a sports marketer, this is a career path he's pursuing in Kenya. So just in case you didn't know, there's a sports marketer in Kenya, there's a sports lawyer in Kenya, and it was just to show people, but it was also a chance for them to ask questions, you know. Young people who are going to university, what do they need to know, things like that. But also it was a great opportunity for us to network. As sports industry people, one thing I always say about our society is that all these different people are coming up, but we're not coming up together. Everyone is doing their own little thing. And what we really want to do is bring everyone together. So why should I, from the African Sports Network, take up this initiative and educate the, people from my perspective only? Wouldn't they benefit more if I had 5 different companies lined up together to educate them more? So we're doing something right. We're all in this industry, right? So let's all come together and help other people join the industry as well. So that's what it was. Okay, great. And brilliant initiative. Someone would ask, I'm someone in, let's pick a place, Kibera. Yes. How am I going to get to that sports workshop? So that's the concept around that was actually, we were trying to build it up. This is why it was a prototype. We're trying to build it up in a way that we could actually have scholarships, depending on the partnerships. We're a very young team. To put this together, that was something we had to do to dig in, even into our own pockets. Okay. But of course, this is not something I'm trying to make available to only people who can afford it or limit it. We try to make the fee very minimal, only basic costs, and we still cover the majority from working through other initiatives to get money to put that together. But I think the main thing, the stage we're trying to get to is a point where either we can accommodate everyone fully, but the steps towards there, in the short term at least, we're just trying to work through a concept of scholarships, right? Okay. So if, yes, we can't accommodate everyone for free because we're still growing, but maybe at the next workshop, we could work with 5 scholarships for people who may not be able to afford it and just things like that. So it's something we definitely thought about. One thing that sports shouldn't be limited to only a certain group of people, and we understand that. So we're really trying to do that, but also for us, it's step by step. It's about how we grow and how we manage to sustain ourselves and also help everyone around.
You've talked about minority sports. That's what you're starting off with. Who are you working with currently? So
the Kenya Kabaddi Federation, our main well, then I wouldn't say they're main clients, but we work with them, and I think we're very keen on them because I was very stunned. I learned about Kabaddi, I think, not more than a year ago, and I was very amazed that something like this can exist in this country, but not many people can know about it, you know, and that's the increasing awareness in the sports industry, you know. It's just how many things exist. As much as, yes, football is popular, even if there's still challenges with that, as we're working on those challenges, can we also uplift minority sports, you know, because there's so many athletes, there's so many opportunities for different people in various things, and it's about how we can grow generally the name of sports, not only in the sports we know, but also uplift the other sports that we don't know. So it's not something that, you know, the partnerships probably go to the big sports and things like that, but it's about showing these other sports that there's someone for you, there's someone who's actually paying attention to what you're doing, and it's a great sport, keep it up.
Okay, cool. So let's say Kenya Lawn Ball Association or Kenya Lawn Tennis Association.
Yes.
How do I get to you? How do we, when you come on board, what do you do for me?
I think we pretty much work with the details of the specifics. So in a situation with a Kabaddi, we actually, shockingly, this will be shocking to people who don't believe as young people we can, but we actually do the proposals, we pitch for them and things like that, because we just have a different, vibrant way of presenting these things. Of course, we've all gotten, we take different courses, we've all gotten different education, so most of it is the selling. I think we understand sport, we love sport, and we know the power of sport, and we're also passionate and dedicated towards fulfilling it, and we want the best for the sport. So I think what we mainly do is genuinely just sell it and try, if there's an opportunity and you need sponsorship, we're really trying to push that front, trying to make sure that the federation can succeed. If there's a match abroad and you know you need to gather funds, it's about how can we do the best proposal to see why, to show people value. So that's what it is. We craft together things that show the value of the sport and show what you can gain from it as well.
Okay.
Yes.
You talk about sports is digital now. Sports is entertainment.
Yes.
And again, I'll keep saying this because it's the first time it's happened. Someone is actually, I'm live, but I'm also live on a social media page.
Yes.
And how big are you on the digital space, and how are you leveraging that to grow sports in the country? We're
definitely trying to grow it. So the reason I'll give you for that, the reason we're live on our Instagram page right now is because how many people, our audience is not only in Kenya, that's first of all, but still the people in Kenya, telling them to go and find a TV to watch this show right now, I doubt they will. But if they know all they need to go on Instagram and check our live video, they probably will, you know. So that's what we're trying to leverage on. But I think even on the digital side, we've learned the power of social media. And the reason we use it so much is because as young people, it's all we have, right? So when we sat down and we came together, it was about looking at what we have. There's not many things, you know, that we don't have money for this, money for that, but the one thing we all have and are all capable of doing is using social media. Okay. So why not try and use that to reach as many people as possible? Why not try and build a following? If there's a cause that's worthy, why not use our social media to get the word out? So that's our aspect of, that's why we use social media so much. It's not something that we necessarily have to pay for, but it's a platform that as young people we know how to use and we can take advantage of.
Okay. Yes. You talked about you being passionate about sports.
Yes.
Tell me about your sport in Zambia.
So it's a very long one, but
the short version.
So I was always an athlete throughout school. I was that kid who tried out every sport, the kid who the parent is telling, hey, please study now, you know, enough of sports. So I did play a lot of sports, but I was primarily a runner. I ran 1500 track, and I really enjoyed that. But the main thing, I think, how I grew to who I am today is the fact that I always acknowledge the challenges in the sporting industry, right? So I complained about them a lot, you know. I was an athlete, and it was just, oh, this is the problem, this is the problem, this is the problem. But I still kept engaging in sport, but I was always complaining. But I think the breakthrough was when I went to the African Leadership Academy, and it was a narrative of stop complaining, take action, right? So that's when I knew that I was actually capable of taking action. And I mean, I didn't want to work on something that I wasn't passionate about. I wanted to take action on something that mattered to me, something that had bothered me my whole life. And the aim was to make sure that when another young girl grows up like me and says, I want to join the sports industry, she doesn't have to lie about how she wants to be a lawyer, but deep inside wants to be in the sports industry. So that's what it was. At the African Leadership Academy, that's when I started prototyping. I started writing down ideas, business plans, and trying to figure out how can I actually make this something that the African youth can value and something that can definitely benefit the African sports industry. So that's what it was. I think it was more from my passion for sport and then towards taking action. And that's what I'm trying to show a lot of people, that we're so capable. It's just that we know there's a lot of challenges in Kenya, let alone Africa. But all we do is talk, complain, complain. But when you sit down and ask yourself, what can I do? That's when action starts to happen and change begins.
Your TEDx talk.
Yes.
We have to talk about that, because when someone Googles you, that comes up a lot. And tell me about that. How was that? That
was a great experience. I think the only topic I would want to speak about in the TED Talk is definitely sports. And that's just because it was a great platform to share my vision, share what I want to do, share my passion and why that passion came up. And I think I really just took my viewers on a journey of where I started off and where I'm trying to get to. So if you watch that talk, you'll see the bigger picture is, you know, something that's big, you know, a 5-day event that just celebrates sports, that understands, and a Pan-African network of sports. So that's definitely my end goal, and I really hope that talk can move forward and inspire some people who have been told that they're female, they can't pursue sport, or just that sport isn't viable in Africa. I think that talk is my one thing that I want to use to inspire people who want to go on this journey as well. Africa Sports Network. Clearly, not just Kenya. Yes. You have a goal for on a bigger stage. Yes. Tell me about that. I think the reason why sometimes it's a bit tricky, you know. I'm telling myself, ooh, it says African and we're just working in Kenya, but it pressures me. It puts me under pressure every single day to grow, not to settle, not to be content with where we are, but we definitely have to start somewhere. So yes, we were actually operating in Johannesburg before, but I took it from a perspective of, I'm Kenyan, I'm not benefiting my own sports industry, but I'm working somewhere else. So it was much better to settle here and start properly here. But even with that, I wasn't going to change it to the Kenyan Sporting Network, because I know my dream and my vision is to impact the African sports industry, because this perception of sport not being viable, it's not just in Kenya. You know, it's throughout Africa, and there's so much potential in Africa. So I think it puts pressure on me every time I see the name is Africa, that what are we going to do next? Exactly. So even if, I mean, the first step is just moving to Tanzania, Uganda, that's still a step, that's still growth. But I think it's just pressure on ourselves to not to settle, not to say, oh, we've done great in Kenya, let's just keep it in Kenya, but actually to always open our eyes, look further, and impact more sporting industries across the continent. If I call you back here in, let's say, 12 months' time, what would you want to have achieved? There's a lot of things, definitely, but I think main objectives, I would have wanted to take a step towards the sports leadership workshop that we prototyped. I would have wanted to try and integrate that more in counties, at least taken a step, whether it's worked out or not, or prototyped it as an inter-county process of trying to educate more people, and definitely getting more people on board. Bigger sports associations in Kenya, for example, the anti-doping agency, to also talk to people about integrity, things like that. But also the celebration around sport, I want that to be a lot higher. I want to be able to say that we've significantly impacted. There's more people talking, more people celebrating sport, and our initiative on the International Day of Sport for Development and Peace, I want that to grow bigger. I want that to be something that's recognized by the society as this is the day for sports. You know, we celebrate Mother's Day, Father's Day, Women's Day, things like that. I want people to know that April 6th is actually the International Day of Sport for Development and Peace. And I want us to challenge each other. What are you doing to develop sport, you know, and things like that. Okay. That's what it is. Okay,
lastly, you talked about a group of 5, average age is 19.
Yes.
Someone watching is just wondering, why wouldn't you incorporate maybe guys who are older in sports, or guys who are not even just older, just maybe guys who have done sports on a more professional level, or are involved in sports? Why don't you want to bring them in? Why do you want to be totally fresh?
I mean, it's not that we don't want. That's an aspect that's definitely come in. It's just about who's willing to stick through us through the thick and thin. You know, the journey of being an entrepreneur means that this month you can be paid this much and next month you're not. And as young people, the opportunity cost is less, right? Because maybe you're still a student, so at the end of the day, you're still going back to live in your parents' house. And you find that when it gets older, the opportunity cost becomes higher for people. So if we're employing someone and this is a bad month for us, then it becomes a lot more difficult. So definitely we want to move into those steps. But for now, I think on a full-time basis, working with younger people just seems to be more sustainable in an entrepreneurial journey when we're all growing, all developing. But definitely, it's not that we don't seek outside counsel. Okay. We definitely understand that we're young, we don't know everything, and we take opinions, we take we listen to feedback a lot. That's one of the main pillars, gaining feedback from other people and understanding. So we may not necessarily have other people on the team, but there's so many older people that surround us, exactly, who are feeding and actually helping us grow, because we definitely can't do it alone.
Okay. Yes. Okay, so very lovely having a chat with you.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully we'll get to bring you back,
yes,
maybe not in a year, maybe 6 months' time, just to hear what you've been up to. And as you said, sports should pay. Does sport pay for you?
Definitely.
Right now, does it pay for you?
I mean, this is always the question at the end. I think as a journey, as an entrepreneur, there's different aspects of sports. I took an entrepreneurial journey in sport. Sport does pay. Sport, when I had a job in a sports marketing agency, that paid my bills. I could sustain myself. But I stepped away and decided to go on an entrepreneurial journey in sport. And as I said, some months it's fantastic, and some months it's up and down. But that's the journey as an entrepreneur. I don't think that it's just because it's sports. That's just the challenge that I gave to myself when I decided to go on this entrepreneurship journey. But there's definitely there's definitely jobs in sports in this country that will pay your bills, that will sustain you and help you grow as well.
So sport should pay.
Yes.
May not be paid now, but should pay.
And even if sport is still up and down for me, I'm not saying it doesn't, even if it's still up and down, it will. That's the thing. And just like an entrepreneur, you know, at the beginning it's a bit rough, but at the end you make it. That's the same thing with sport. Now, your journey as a sports entrepreneur, it's the exact same thing. So I'm capable. I know that if I keep working on the lines that I'm working, then we'll be completely fine in a few years.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. And hopefully, by that time, we'll still bring you back on
Definitely.
the show and just say she was here before she made it.
This is it now, yes.
Cool. Thank you very much. And there you have it. We talked to Judy, and she told us sport is kind of paying for her. And we talked to Amy, and she says some months it does, some months it doesn't. And the business of sports will keep on just having these conversations about how sport pays, how should it pay. But